I think I'll throw it to George and Serja and just ask you what it meant for you to work with Kevin and how you were first drawn to the project.
For me, that was probably the biggest draw about this project, was getting to work with Kevin. Just because, not only because he's a brilliant filmmaker, but also such a wonderful documentary filmmaker. And I think with a film like this, it could have so easily have been quite glossy and a bit sort of wish-washy, if that's the right word. And he made it very romantic and yet very realistic as well. And that's something that he has a real gift for, you know. He was very kind of practical on set, but yet really understood the emotion and what we needed to bring to it, you know. And he's also just such a great guy as well, so there you go.
Yeah, I'd echo that. It was just the opportunity to work with Kevin, having seen the films that he's made before, and to work with Serja as well. And so it was, yeah, that was a big draw. And then in the third audition I had, I got to read the first half of the script, and it was like the most exciting 50 pages I'd ever read. So that was my draw.
Okay, over to you guys. Is there a question in the audience? I saw a hand before. Yes, in the middle. You guys are all amazing. And to Serja and George, what were the most difficult scenes to film?
In general, or together, or...
I don't know.
There is one scene.
That was the easiest. I don't know, there's the sort of the practical elements when we're all kind of in the kitchen, when we're all together, just this in a sense of coverage, and what we kind of ended up doing is we'd shoot a wide shot first, and then we'd do all the coverage, and it ended up changing so much, and then we'd sort of redo the wide shot, and so yeah, we'd kind of bookmark it, and it changed in the middle. So those were probably the most complex, because there's so much going on and so much to cover.
And everything, a lot of the earlier stuff as well was handheld, so Franz would just be running around the kitchen trying to cover as much as he could, and he'd be on George one minute and then the next minute he's on the goat unicorn, and so that's what was so great about it actually. This wasn't difficult, but it kind of kept you on your toes, I think, but what was so great about shooting the earlier part of the film is that each take was going to be different. So the energy was going to be different every single time you did something. Well, I think one of the trickiest scenes to do in the earlier half of the film might have been the river scene, actually, because as gorgeous as it looked, it was actually freezing cold that day, and it took us forever to shoot. So.
And you went 20 times in the ice cold water.
We jumped into the river about like 20 times or something to try and get that lovely dreamy shot. So. Movie magic.
Is there another question from the audience? I think maybe I'd like to ask Serja and George how you prepared, if you read the novel, and obviously for Daisy's character, it's very important for us to feel like we're in her head with the voiceover and all of that. So how did you guys prepare for that?
I didn't actually read the book before I began shooting filming. I know, very unprofessional. No, I knew how wonderful the book would be, just judging by the screenplay and also from meeting Megan as well, but I wanted to focus on the script because the story and the structure of it was so strong from the off, and so I kind of just wanted to focus on that.
I read the book before, just because I guess with Eddie, it's the thing with him is he's kind of very perceptive and he's got a great understanding of people immediately, and so I kind of, although it's in some ways quite different to the script, I just wanted as sort of much information as possible about each character to kind of get a similar level of knowledge to what he'd have naturally.
just in front.
Hi there. This question's for Saoirse. First, how do you get rid of your accent throughout the entire film? Like, it's so heavy right now. Many different countries. And I also want to know, what was the most difficult scene and what took the longest for you to shoot? Like, how many takes did you go through?
So the question was about your accent. And then maybe we can flip it to Franz for the number of takes required for the longest scene.
Yes, I'm very Irish. I've got a very strong Irish accent. I've only ever done accents in films because I probably wouldn't get as many parts if I couldn't do accents. So I've kind of been doing them since the start, and I've done the American accent more than any other one. So we had a dialect coach called Sandra Butterworth that came to rehearse with us for a couple of weeks, and she kind of set up the base for what we would do. So the guys kind of had a bit more of a country English accent, and I had a slight New York twang to my American generic accent. But it was lovely, you know. It's always really good fun to do accents. It's just, it allows you to separate yourself that little bit more, I think, from the character. So I loved it.
Longest scene, number of takes.
I think the scene at the fire where you burned the pass, it was tricky for many reasons. One was keeping some fog consistent, which never happened. The other was the acting, which was tricky in the scene. But it works really well in the end. And I enjoyed the freedom Kevin gave us on this film. It was just unbelievable. And I think we all feel really incomplete tonight without him here. So we should all think of him. And he started this all and made us, you know, what we are in this project in a way.
Is there another question? Yes, in the center. Oh yes, the girl who played Piper, she's fantastic. Maybe Charles, if you could maybe speak about the casting of some of the supporting roles.
Hello, hi. She's a young actress called Harley Bird, and I think when we started the casting process, there was this idea in Kevin's mind that the entire cast was going to be unknown and discovered and never acted before. And kind of the process happened very differently. Obviously, Saoirse and George, huge experience actors. And Harley Bird, when we met her, she's very quick to tell you she's the youngest winner of a BAFTA award. There is, you know, I think when I first met her, said, have you done the acting before? She said, the youngest winner of a BAFTA award. And she is a voice of a character called Peppa Pig in the UK, so she's very experienced, and she was fantastic in this. And obviously Tom as well, he just done a film, Tom Holland, The Impossible, so kind of what started as a process of being kind of all going to be new actors was very different in the end.
Another question if there. Yes, just down here.
This question's for Saoirse. How could you shoot your dad in your film?
How did you cop that? I wouldn't say most people would have known that was my dad. Maybe they would have. It was easy, you know. It was like the day before, he probably didn't let me do something, and I thought, well, tomorrow the tables will turn. It was one of those things that I think it kind of happened at the last minute. Kevin knew how good an actor my dad was, and he needed a man too. So they got him into it. But my poor dad, he had a dodgy knee at the time, and so you don't see all the running that him and the other guy Mark do in the film, but they ran like for 2 days pretty much, and his knee was so terribly painful by the end of it. So he put up with an awful lot for me and Kevin and Harley and everyone.
Another question. Yes, balcony. Yes, the incest question, yes. I think everybody got that. Were you guys actually first cousins, blood related?
Yeah, we were cousins. But maybe Charles should, I mean, our cousins. I think we're cousins, but maybe you think something different.
Well, I think I think in the film they talk about, they mention that they are cousins and that's the nature of the kind of family feeling, but technically, as they say, they're not actually blood related, so that's what it is in the film.
Everybody feel better about that now? Sergio, you touched on, or a few of you touched on before, the fact that Kevin is so well known for his documentary filmmaking. I wonder if maybe each of you could talk about what that brought to the project and how that affected his style.
Yeah, no, I've done I've done documentaries as well, and Kevin, I think, wanted to give us, as I said, the possibility to enter a room and shoot it the way, you know, Serge would play it, so we would change positions really quickly, and I had a camera which was pretty heavy, but I managed to put a little zoom on, so I was really quick with the sizes of the shots, so that helped really, especially with Harley, because her concentration wasn't lasting that long, especially if you gave her sugar. It was a no-go, so that you had to be fast, like in real documentary filmmaking.
Yeah,
Not with you.
I think Franz has covered it really. Just I suppose that kind of practical element that a documentary filmmaker has to have when they're making a film like that. The fact that he was able to bring that to a film like this, that could have kind of been very much, you know, big, epic, sweeping shots and sort of, you know, things like that that are a bit typical usually of a film in that sort of situation. And instead, it goes from being incredibly intimate to beautiful landscape shots. And I mean, really, a lot of that is down to Franz as well. Franz was our little angel on set. Yeah, I don't know what else. I mean, Kevin's just you know, all in all, not even just as a documentary filmmaker, but just all in all, he's a wonderful man to work with, you know, and I think he had a lot of patience with all the kids as well, with all of us, because when we'd get together we'd just mess about for a few hours and they'd roll the cameras and we kind of wouldn't really listen to them then after that, so he had to have an awful lot of patience for us in general.
We have time for a couple more questions. Anyone else? Yes, in the middle. You're all pointing at her. Question is for Serge and George, and how you compare the roles of Daisy and Eddie to what you've done in the past.
Kevin didn't really get us to do any research in particular. So I mean, for me, it was just reading the book and reading the script and get as good understanding as I could of the characters around Eddie as well, because that's his main thing really, is an understanding of other people over understanding himself. So yeah, just books and script.
Yeah, for me it was the script. Usually is kind of just that really. And the script was so well written and so strong that it was kind of easy to get an awful lot out of that, you know. But as well, I remember I was quite nervous when I got the role at first, because I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to do the whole attitude thing, because I hadn't really done that as much. And so I remember then when we tried on different costumes and I had bleach blonde hair all of a sudden and piercings on my face, and I put on the leather jacket and I thought, yeah, okay, you know, I can do this now, I can walk the walk a little bit more. So the physicality actually really helped me too, just the look of the character. Because that's such a big part, I suppose, of who she is for the first while, is that kind of facade that she puts up and that defence mechanism that she has, which is kind of her image, you know. So I think that really helped me to understand who she was.
Okay, we have time for one more question. Anyone on the balcony? I don't want to miss you. No? Okay, then I'm going to go. Oh, what's there? Okay, yeah, go, just talk. We had the question of the most difficult scene to shoot, so now we'll end with this one. What was your favorite one? Maybe Franz can answer that as well.
Oh, I know what my favourite scene to shoot was. When we're on the hill. I mean, the dialogue bit was nice too, but beforehand, when Eddie releases the hawk into the sky, that was just so amazing and it was so special. And it was one of those scenes where I think everyone just kind of went quiet, or more quiet than they usually would be, and really soaked up that moment. It was really, really beautiful just to kind of stand back and have a camera rolling and capturing everything and just watching this bird fly through the sky and fly around you and over your head. So I really enjoyed that scene.
It's true.
Yeah, I was the same. I mean, that whole scene in general for me, I really enjoyed doing, and also the montage bits as well, all the stuff by the barn. We had a great time doing that, and we were just kind of able to let loose, and friends would run around, and we just got that. I mean, there's plenty of stuff that wasn't in there that might be a bit sort of camp and silly, but yeah, we just had a good time doing all of that.
Okay, that's all we have time for. Thank you very much for coming with us.